Prime Minister Narendra Modi has addressed a joint press conference in Mauritius during his two-day visit and said that India will cooperate in building a new parliament in Mauritius. He stated that India and Mauritius are not only linked by Indian Ocean but also connected by traditions and culture. On behalf of 140 crore Indians, the Prime Minister congratulated the people of Mauritius on their National Day and said that it is his good fortune that he again got a chance to be there on the National Day of Mauritius. Meanwhile, earlier Prime Minister Modi held delegation-level talks. During the meeting, PM Modi stated that India was proud to be a valued and trusted development partner for Mauritius and that the two nations would work together for promoting the interests of the global south. India and Mauritius exchanged 8 key MOUs between the Central Bank of Mauritius and the Reserve Bank of India on local currency settlement system. Joining us at this point of time is Captain Shyam Kumar, a former naval instructor. We're also being joined by Dr. Amitabh Singh, Associate Professor and Russian and Central Asian Studies, JNU, and also with us on the broadcast is Dr. Sharat Kohli, Senior Economist. A very good afternoon to all our guests and thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us. I'm going to start this conversation with Dr. Sharat Kohli. Sir, 8 key MOUs have been signed. Of course, the Prime Minister, when he spoke, said that he is very happy that the Mauritius looks at India as a trusted partner. How do you view the 8 MOUs that have been signed and again the bonhomie between the two nations?
Well, good afternoon, Samari. Good afternoon to my fellow panelists and the Newsx viewers. I think this is taking the India-Mauritian friendship to the next level, because in 2021 we signed a comprehensive cooperation partnership agreement, the economic cooperation partnership agreement, which had opened the doors for enhanced bilateral trade. And because of that, the bilateral trade between the two countries is now touching close to $1 billion. Obviously, India exports a lot more. And for India, Mauritius is a very strategically located, culturally very, very connected. Prime Minister said it's almost like a family. You know, we know that the roots of the Mauritians, 70% of the Mauritians, they are somewhere in India, you know, centuries ago. These roots relate to. So I think India, as far as Mauritius is concerned, is looking at a policy where India can allow Mauritius and India can encourage Mauritius to grow just the way India has grown. Although it's a very tiny nation, it's an island nation, 1.2 or 1.3 million population. It's a very small economy, but then India respects smaller economies, tiny nations, as much as it respects larger and developed economies. So the prospects of tourism, and one thing that happens, Sabri, you would agree that wherever Prime Minister goes, Mauritius, we know, is known for tourism, is known for sugarcane, is known for a few other things, has also been an investment destination. $175 billion of FDI has come through Mauritius. It used to have a special tax status at one point of time. But then as far as Mauritius is concerned, when Prime Minister is there, and I'm sure he's going to visit some of those tourist places in Mauritius as well, well, then he becomes a brand ambassador and Mauritius can look forward to some fantastic enhancement in the tourism in the months to come, when people are going to flock those beaches. And I've been to Mauritius a number of times. You can probably cover the nation in one day, east, west, north, south. You can drive along. It's very beautiful, very pristine beaches. And I think Prime Minister's visit to Mauritius on its National Day and Prime Minister signing these 8 MOUs, I think it's going to be a big fillip for Mauritius. And Mauritius is going to feel even closer to India. And I'm sure that a lot of things with Mauritius misses today, I think it is going to get from India, whether it is digital infrastructure, whether it is parliament infrastructure, because Parliament, India has just freshly created a new parliament, barely a little more than a year ago. And now Here is India can replicate that experience and create a parliament for Mauritius as well. Apart from that, I think Mauritius has got unlimited opportunities as far as takeaways from India is concerned. So I'm sure Mauritius will try and make best out of Prime Minister's visit. And as for the Prime Minister is concerned, Mauritius is a gateway for us to Eastern Africa and to South Africa. It's a very strategically located country. And I'm sure the friendship between India and Mauritius is only going to go forward to the next level after this visit, summary.
Right, so absolutely requesting you to stay on with us. Captain Shyam Kumar is also on the broadcast. And sir, my question to you is, at a time when China is branching out its tentacles whether it's in Sri Lanka, whether it's in Maldives, the MOU which specifically talks about oceanic research and maritime zone administration, how crucial does that then become?
Thank you, Samri. See, this maritime security, freedom of navigation, responsibility of this global south is slowly coming to India. And because of the dominance of our navy in this area for very long, we also have to look at the cargo flow, the economy that flows through the Indian Ocean, and therefore the China coming into this region and this string of pearls policy he is developing basis. See, he has already done something in Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives. He's trying to get his footsteps, but in Djibouti he has already formed up a base from where his ships are now stationed, working starting in 2008 on the name of anti-piracy operation of say 2 to 3 ships. Now minimum 8 to 10 ships are in this area, continuously patrolling, satellite tracking, surveillance scanning, underwater activities, etc., on which the Indian Navy is keeping a good guard and making a presence felt, giving them the knockouts as required, and making diplomatic channels to tell the world that certain things are not correct and they need to be looked at as per the international law. However, as far as the Mauritius is concerned, in the southwest ocean, Indian Ocean, it is a springboard for India, because as net security provider, if we look at the entire Indian Ocean concerns from the almost Indo-Pacific scenario from Australia up to the Mozambique Channel, we have to look at the cargo flow from the Strait of Hormuz to the Sunda or say Malacca Strait flow. Chinese are using this lane. So this 3 lanes of communication needs to be kept under surveillance, and Mauritius, ethnicity, culturally, historically, almost a mini India, as told by our Prime Minister. It is not a nation, it is an extended family for us. So there we need, there we naturally get our footholds, and therefore we get our space, we get our place. As a sub-lieutenant, when I joined Navy in 1982 and 83, I did a course. There was a 1 full year of course in which I had Mauritius officers with me. And when I visited taking a warship to Mauritius, INS Sharda in 2003, I think 3, if I remember, and I was in Port Louis, this person had become a senior officer in military, and I called on to his house and a lovely lunch, and that is the friendship that I could develop with my counterpart. So imagine at the political level, people-to-people cooperation, whether it is used for peace and security, the Sagar policy that our Prime Minister is following from 2015, the big brother role to defend and regional security. All this, Mauritius is going to be very, very important place, because we need, Indian Ocean is a vast, sphere, and we need to operate in this in coordination with others. I also remember carrying a ship under another post commander. I was the post commander carrying a ship for repair, the major warship of Mauritius Coast Guard. We carried it to India, and I was the post commander for this. We took almost 7-8 days to come from there with INS Matanga, the towing ship of India, towing the ship. Again, we are having another ship under repair here in India. So we are giving them ships, we are giving them aircraft for patrolling. We are looking at exclusive economic zone coordinated patrol, and INS Imphal is there today, and the naval platoon is marching at the Port Louis parade ground on the National Day. So this is going to be a real military, defense, trade and cultural tie-up. And Prime Minister has been honored for this as the most prestigious award also. So I'm sure the world is watching it, that India and Mauritius are going historically, and there is another amplitude working upon it.
Absolutely, sir. Requesting you to stay on with us. Dr. Amitabh Singh is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, now from vowing to construct a parliament building to multifaceted cooperation that has just been spoken about, whether it's AI, healthcare, education, so on and so forth. Is India exemplifying or bracing its nation-first policy, sir?
Look, when it comes to India-Mauritius relations, there are entire gamut of relations that we have had in the past and will continue to have it in future also. Now, India and India and Mauritius are not only confined to the borders that they have. Our cooperation, our closeness to each other reflects centuries of our existence. If you start seeing what has happened in the past also, you will find that India has always seen Mauritius as its extended neighbor. Despite the geopolitical challenges that India and Mauritius face in their neighborhood, in their, especially in the seas, threatened by China, even by United States in form of Dio Garcia and other things, India is a natural partner of Mauritius. And coming to the Prime Minister's visit and the assurance that India would build a parliament building there, it's a welcome move. After all, India and Mauritius have both been democracies, and unlike many of the democracies in Africa, where Mauritius is located, it is a welcome sign that Mauritius has remained democratic for all these years. So India investing in building a parliament building there would be India's contribution to democratic traditions that both these countries represent. And in the past also, and in the contemporary times also, we have seen how the presence of China has been not only threatening India, but also all these regions in the entire Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean. Now, if you see India's relations with Mauritius, apart from that most of them had gone as indentured labor in 1834 onwards, when British ruled against abolition of slavery there, when abolition of slavery was done by the Britishers there, at least 500,000 of Indians traveled as indentured laborers, especially from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, to settle down there. And historically, they have been harbingers of transformation in Mauritius, and they have preserved what Prime Minister amply reflected by saying that Mauritius is mini India there. We have always read in our textbook also, Hind Mahasagar mein ek chota sa Hindustan, which was one of the chapters that we had in one of the Hindi books that we read in CBSE. So India, Mauritius are not confined by the geographical distance that we have. We are from the global south. We represent anti-imperialist struggle that we have had with our colonial past, and the present is actually reflective of that reality. All the political leaders of Mauritius, if you have noticed, the Jagannath family and the Ramgoolam family have been from India, and so our relationship spans across generations. They still maintain that legacy. They still maintain that Ganga Talav. They still maintain that tradition of Bhojpuri as one of the languages there. So India and Mauritius now reflect something that they have developed in the past and will have something common in the future also.
Right, so absolutely requesting you to stay on with us. I'm going to rope in Dr. Sharat Kohli very quickly to get his response. So again, taking from what Dr. Singh just said, again, 500,000 people went as indentured labor to Mauritius. To date, 70% of Mauritius population is Indo-Mauritian population, and there is a large community of people who speak Bhojpuri, they speak Telugu, they speak Tamil. With just keeping those numbers and that perspective in mind, the Prime Minister is now going to be the chief guest of the National Day, the 57th National Day. How big of a deal is this, sir?
I think considering that the roots of Mauritians, 70% of the Mauritians, although the local language spoken in Mauritius is called Creole. it's a dialectical modification of French, because they were ruled by French for a very long time, and not many people know that in Port Louis, I've been there. There is a place called Apravasiya Ghat. This was the place where the Indians at that time had landed, and they have it's a World UNESCO heritage site, by the way. It's called Apravasiya Ghat, where people had migrated at that time. And I remember 1901. I remember we used to read in history Mahatma Gandhi when he went to Mauritius, and that's where he was inspired from Africa to come back to India, and he joined the freedom movement more actively thereafter. So Mauritius has got a lot more than just being an island nation, and I think nowadays, when the two nations, when they connect with each other, apart from the cultural exchange, Samri, what comes to your mind is how to make sure that the economic prosperity is taken to the next level. So I think that is what is on the minds of the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister, as we all know, he's very, very forward-looking on the economic front. He wants more and more partnership alliances so that the two countries can work together. He's already called them, we are like a family. So you would obviously want your family to prosper, which is by way of trade. So, if you look at the items, practically Mauritius is dependent on a lot of things as far as India is concerned, from pharmacies to minerals. There's a long list of items, although the total quantum of trade, which probably India exports, is about 600 to $700 million. Whereas we do import certain things from Mauritius also. So we have a trade surplus, but then I'm sure Mauritius would like to take this trade to the next level, because Mauritius wants to get into the mainstream. It is technically very difficult for these island nations to get as part of mainstream geopolitics or get involved with what is happening around the world when it comes to locked land or large continents. But then it is countries like India who support them, that you can probably move shoulder to shoulder with India and feel yourself standing in the middle of mainstream, although they may not be very dominating politically, geopolitically. That probably Mauritius say may not come very effective, and while there's a dialogue going on between Russia and Ukraine and so on and so forth. But then the importance of these countries is absolutely paramount, and that's what Prime Minister's mindset is. He wants, as I said, he treats no nation as small. He treats no nation as miniature. He treats no nation as alienated or probably located in a tiny little island in the middle of the ocean. He doesn't feel that way. And he is respecting the roots of this country, that the roots of this country is in our country. So whatever best that we can do for them, we should do. And I'm sure Mauritius is going to benefit from this visit. Mauritius is going to take the trade to the next level. And a very, very important opportunity stands in 2-3 areas, which I would like to mention here. One, of course, is defense, because India's defense has suddenly gone to the next level. We are now exporting more than 25,000 crores of defense equipment. And there was a time when even for nuts and bolts, we were dependent on others. I'm sure our learned, friend from the army would appreciate what I'm saying, that we were even exporting the nuts and bolts of the rifles and the tanks and so on. So today we are manufacturing aircrafts. There's Tejas, which is happening in India. So I think we've come a long way, and we are exporting. So that is where we can reinforce Mauritius for its safety if it's looking at defense partnerships. Digital infrastructure, I feel, is a very important aspect where Mauritius can probably take India's help, because India has broken all barriers. We have surpassed the developed nations in terms of developing our digital infrastructure, especially on the fintech front. And I'm sure Mauritius can take the cues from India, the whole banking system. We all know that Mauritius is also, by the way, a financial hub. A lot of stock market investments which still come, they used to come in a very big way earlier, but after the tax treaty has been tweaked, they are not as much, but still it's a financial hub. If you go to Port Louis Central area, I've been there, you will find buildings full of companies which are into financial investments, into wealth management, into holding companies and so and so. So I think that is where Mauritius can come together with India to see that what helping hand it can lend to become a joint financial hub for the world. A lot of investment from Europe, from America, from Australia, from Southeast Asia, they come into Mauritius, and they take the benefit of Mauritius. We all know is a partial tax haven, because if you're bringing income from outside and you're not domiciled in Mauritius, you can enjoy some tax benefits as well. So I think Mauritius provides multiple benefits as far as India is concerned, and more than that, I think India has got a lot to deliver to Mauritius, which I'm sure Mauritius is looking forward to. I would not even call it deliver, because when it's a family, you don't use the word deliver. So it's like a left hand handing over something to the right hand, Sabri.
Indeed, so that's very sweetly put over there. Captain Shyam Kumar, I'd like to rope you in to the conversation. We are, ladies and gentlemen, just about a couple of minutes away from the National Day Parade to kickstart in Mauritius. But with that being said, sir, the Indian warship INS Imphal has now made its maiden port call in Mauritius. That's of course another big deal that we are talking about. If you could take our viewers through how significant then this becomes.
Indian Navy and the Coast Guard of Mauritius have been working together for very long. Most of the officers of the Coast Guard of Mauritius are trained in India at the Naval Academy and different warships. I have been associated from very long as a under trainee, as I just mentioned in the previous comments.
Right.
And when I was commanding a ship, INS Sharda, I had the Coast Guard officer on board as my under trainee for watchkeeping. So I am very closely associated with the training of the Coast Guard officers. Many of our officers are posted at that. We have the Dornier aircraft, we have the air surveillance. Our entire team is based in Mauritius for patrolling of aircraft at the exclusive economic zone of the country and around. And whenever our ships visit Mauritius, there is always a PASEX exercise in which both the ships from both the units they operate together and they perform together for interoperability. So these aspects are going on, and there have been ships placed at Mauritius. You see CGSS, the Mauritius ship Vigilant, which was towed back long back by our force commander when I was an INS Sharda, and the recently ships which have been like Coast Guard ship Victory, this Barracuda, which was made by the Garden Reach Shipyard Limited, Kolkata, and another ship Victory has been made by Goa Shipyard. These have been made in India and exported to Mauritius for operations as Coast Guard ships. So INS Imphal of the Mazgon Dock Limited, the world-class super destroyer, showing its presence in today's National Day of Mauritius, and the ships, the crew is taking part as in the March past.
Right.
Very exciting moments which is going to happen from 12 to 14. The ship will be there. It will take part in the exercise. It will have some cultural integration. It will visit. It will carry out some medical camping. It will also have some sports activity,
right,
and many of the drum display. All this is obviously going to win heart, because India from 2015 have been making many projects, indoor projects of civil nature, and of course the military involvement. So both this together automatically gives us a place and a springboard for a outreach for the Indian Navy, which is very, very important today, because in this large sphere of Indian Ocean, we need presence of friendly countries like Mauritius,
yes,
Seychelles for that matter. Similar things are happening in Seychelles, so we should know that these islands,
absolutely,
and having a geographical presence of USA and China in Djibouti, we also need our presence in these islands.
Absolutely,
and therefore,
sir,
I feel that it is important visit, and Prime Minister is going to do the needful.
Absolutely, sir. Dr. Amitabh Singh is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, we're a little short on time. Closing comments, sir.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a defining moment for India, in the sense that India and Mauritius have been having a very good relations in the past also, and Prime Minister's visit will just reinforce the historical relations that we have had with Mauritius in the past. And as it is, Prime Minister has been awarded the highest medal, civilian award there. It will go a long way in restoring the credibility that India has in Mauritius, that Mauritius has in India. And also, as Shyam Kumarji very clearly said, India is now moving on to the next stage of its progress. That is reinforcing our partners as strategic partners, not only the historical legacy that we have with each other, but also in the very uncertain waters that international relations is in today. Chopping those international relations problems would need some very good friends. And I believe Mauritius would be one very good, and it has been in the past also, has been a very good friend to India.
Right.
And seeing our historical legacy, the large diaspora that we have there, and the goodwill that India and Indians enjoy in Mauritius will go a long way in consolidating our, not only the sentiments that are involved in this relationship, but also a long way in strengthening Indian presence in the Indian Ocean region.
Absolutely, sir.
which
Absolutely.
we
I'm so
still
sorry. We're
believe has a
completely.
long way to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm completely out of time. I'd like to thank all our guests for joining us on the broadcast, sharing their perspectives. On that note, we are going to slip into a very short break. Thank you so much for watching Newsx.
प्रधानमंत्री